book is about memorable engagement from the sandbox years all the way up through the boardroom and beyond. It's a common theme that's gone through all of today, and I'm excited about sharing with you my perceptions. And let me explain what I mean about sandbox to the boardroom. I have two little kids, an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. My 8-year-old is a boy named Dylan. No, I did not name him after a 90210 character. Do you millennials even understand what I mean when I say that? Probably not. So, and I have a 6-year-old daughter named Zhara, and my husband affectionately calls her Hurricane Z, and she's also known as JR in the sense of junior, as in me. And there are often times I debate with her, and literally debate with her, and I think to myself, oh my God, I'm debating with myself. This is a very scary, scary thought. But I adore my children, and all you want as a mom is to create and help them create a life of their own that is beautiful and marvelous and gives them the opportunities that they could imagine and want and hope for. And one of the things that I have learned and what I have watched is that there's so much coasting and gliding, so much of it, of this acceptance of the day-to-day as, you know what, I'm just going to get through this day and I'm going to wait for the weekend. And I don't want that for them. I want so much more. Both of my kids are hockey players. I'm not bang on the glass kind of mom. I'm excited about it. I'm into it. All I want for them is to be into it. So as much as I would love for them to go become NHL All-Stars, it would be great if they did. I would be thrilled about it. I would be there in the front row being their biggest fans. But I want something much simpler for them. I want them to play every single game, every single shift of that game, every single period, in between periods. I want them to come off of the ice and play like all-stars. Not just think about it, but play like it. Lay it all out on the line. Lay it on the line for themselves, for their team. I want them to glide off that ice after a game, sweaty, pouring down with sweat, their pads and their socks sweating to high heaven, and feeling accomplished. The sense of gratitude for having that moment on the ice, for having that passion, for feeling like the world is theirs. And whether the score was in their favor or not, for them to feel like I captured that moment and it was theirs. I want them to feel that because so much of what I see these days are people, as I said, gliding and coasting through the moments, waiting for the weekend to arrive, counting down the days in the day and saying, okay, only 2 more hours till lunch, and then after lunch is only a few more hours, and I get to clock out and go home. It's sad in a lot of ways because you wonder, as we enter into the mid of February already, you wonder where the time has gone. You wonder how many regrets you store up inside of you because you did not take advantage of the moment. Of that moment, every single day, what do you bring to the table for you? What do you bring to the table for your team? What do you bring to the table for your family, your brothers, your sisters? What do you bring for the next era of you? And I think that's something we lose on a day-to-day basis. We are unaware of the idea and the passing of time. Time goes so quickly. Those of you in school today, for you to go to class and to not engage in that class is a wasted moment. It's a wasted moment of you, your time, your opportunity at that any given second. So I would say to you that we have an incredible opportunity to take every moment for what it's worth and give it all. When was the last time you did that? When was the last time you laid it all on the line? No matter what task it was, did you give it all to yourself? Or did you say, well, I can get by with just giving just this? Well, it's too bad. If you have to go way back to the sandbox memories to remember a time when you gave it your all, I would challenge you to say, it's time. It's time for you to step only a few moments ago to see your flashes of greatness. There's too much of that available, too much of that potential, too much of that opportunity that you are wasting by not taking advantage of the moment. I want my kids to have really big goals when we talk about that. We talk about watching TJ Oshie playing the Russians on the U.S. Olympic men's hockey team and looking back with that smile, knowing that he's got these chances to make it for his team, make it for his country, make it for himself. The supreme confidence that he had that he was going to lay it all on the line that day, all on the line for himself and his country, and he was going to have no regrets. There is a beauty to living that way, to knowing that you gave it your all. Your all and my all, very different things. They are very different, but they hold that potential that each of us can contribute to that day. Each of us can contribute to that day, take away from that day, learn from that day, be great that day in that moment. Because what happens is that greatness compounds on itself. Every day you act like you're great, you act like a winner, you play like a winner, you will be a winner. You absolutely will take home the gold for you. I see too many people, again, going through the motions, driving to work. Half of them don't even know how they got there. They just made it there. They made it late. They made it maybe barely on time, but they got there, right? They coast through the day. They glide through the motions. They figure, well, I made it through the day. One more day to go. It's Wednesday. It's Tuesday. It's Thursday. Got one more day. Oh, thank God, it's Friday. Can you imagine if instead we approached every single day for the beauty that it was? What can I learn from today? What can I take away from today that will make me an even greater person? What can I take away from today that will allow me to contribute even more the next day? What can I do at this very moment while I'm sitting in this conference room? What I can learn, what I can take away, what I can share with my friends. So many of us look at Facebook and at Twitter, and I think these tools are phenomenal. They're wonderful communication devices. But what we end up doing is comparing ourselves to the lives of others, instead of looking at our own lives and saying, what more can I do to make my life as beautiful as possible? Well, I want more for my kids. I don't want them to live that way. So how do I help them galvanize the moment, be able to live in that moment? And remember, they're only 8 and 6, and so the stepping stones that I lay down for them now are so key to setting up the core of their life in the future. There are a few core things that we talk about all the time. Things that I tell them, whether they're getting ready to go on the ice, or they're getting ready for a guitar lesson, they're getting ready to go to school. These are a few tidbits that I always say, and they're probably rolling their eyes, they're probably thinking, oh my God, here goes mom again. But what I'm hoping they take away from it is this, perhaps an aha moment, sometime down the line, sometime maybe when they're sitting in a college class, when, yeah, my mom talked to me about that. Yeah, she told me about how this needs to be. Maybe it just becomes a fabric of their everyday lives, and that's my hope. So what's one of the first things I talk to them about is own it. Own it. Sometimes they have no idea what I mean. But when I say own it, I mean stepping out and making sure that you are ready for that day. Be prepared. Be ready to go. You are a walking, talking billboard for yourself. You are creating a reputation and a legend for yourself. What do you want that legend to be? What's your handshake look like? Do you look someone in the eye? Are you actually listening and paying attention when someone is talking to you? Or are you texting and tweeting because you are multitasking? I'm not sure that multitasking is all that good. Focus in the moment. I know that my kids are not good at multitasking. So our theme at the house, do one thing, do it great, and then you can move on. In the meantime, what you should be focused on is, in that moment and in that time, and for those millennials in the room, for those that are going to Seton Hill and have the fortunate opportunity of learning from your professors, what can you learn from them? What can you take away from them? What more could you ask them so that you could grow as a person? So that one day you can contribute that, you can share that, you can develop that, you can build on that. The other thing is, it's the choices that we make. I tell my kids all the time, I'm not going to be with you 24/7. The choices you make whenever you're not with me are the choices that are going to frame the next several years of your life, or perhaps your entire life. It's something that we need to learn from as adults, as little tykes, as middle schoolers, whatever it is. It's the choices that we make that really shape who we are. And yeah, we're going to make bad choices. The idea is to dust yourself off, get back up, try it again. Learn from that mistake. Figure out that, all right, that choice wasn't exactly the best choice for me to make, but it's something that I can learn from. I tell my kids all the time, say sorry once, be done with it. Do not keep apologizing for a mistake that you have made. Put it behind you. Put the regrets in the past. Move forward. Honey, you've said sorry. It's okay. I love you. Learn from it. Don't do it again. Try not to do it again and move on. There are people, I think a speaker earlier today talked about, stop apologizing. It's enough. There's nothing more to be sorry about. You gotta fix it, move on, dust yourself off, pick yourself up, and keep going. When we talk about competing, I don't ever compare my kids to other kids on the ice. They're gonna be better kids, they're gonna be not so good kids, but it's about competing with yourself. Think about what more you can do to bring yourself to a point where you wanna be. What is that big goal that you have in mind? Where do you want to be? Everything starts with a stepping stone, with a little step. And that step is today. That step is right now. That step is in the very next choice that you make. The choice that you make. I told my son the other day, he was watching one of the hockey games, and he had to go practice. And I said, honey, it's time to go practice. And he said, no, I don't want to practice. I want to watch. And I said, well, you either can watch or you can practice so that one day maybe someone else will be watching you. It's a choice that you make and the framework that you take into everything that you do. Everything you do is a choice. The choice you make now will influence the next stage of your future. The other thing I always tell them is that you have to want it. There are people who are okay with just mediocrity or just being okay and coasting and gliding, and maybe that's all right for them. But can you imagine a world where all of us brought our A game? Every single one of us brought our A game. Every single one of us said, put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. I want to play. I want to play hard, and I want to lay it all on the line for every single person, including myself. Do you know how gratifying that would be? How exciting and how truly energizing? How beautiful would it be to walk away from whatever it is you are doing at that moment, whether it's photocopying and answering phones, or if it's closing a $1 billion deal, to know that you truly brought your A game. You never left one thing out of that process, that passion, that excitement, that jubilation of knowing, I did this. I looked at it as a chore. I looked at it as a pain. I looked at it as a torture to go. But when I changed that mindset, when I realized that the circumstances were based on my doing, and that I had control over the next step that I would take, things changed for me. I realized that every day, rather than seeing going to work as a daunting task, seeing going to school as a daunting task, I took it on one moment at a time. I took it on and said, what am I going to learn today? What can I learn today that will make me a better person? What can I contribute to the conversation today that will make me a better contributor, a better team player, a better employee? What can I do that will allow me to achieve more today than I did yesterday? Chip it down into bite-sized steps. Yeah, you have big goals and you want to have big goals, but keep it small so that you can tackle it day by day. It's not a race to the finish. We all hear about that. It's today. It's in the moment that your energy and your passion and your drive can make a difference, not only in your life, but in the lives of others. I always wanted to be a mom. I always knew that I wanted to have little kids. What I never realized was the power and the influence that parents have over their kids. I take that power, if you will, very, very seriously. I think that the energy that I bring to my kids' lives and the framework that I give them to nurture their next steps is so key, not only for them, but for me too. And the same is true for you. It doesn't end at the sandbox. The pursuit of a life well lived is something that is consistently strong throughout your life, no matter whether you're a millennial, a Gen Xer, or a boomer. You have that opportunity to cultivate what you want in your life right this second, this moment, the moment you leave here. What are you going to take away from all these speeches you've heard today, and what are you going to do about it? It's one thing to know and have it in the back of your head. We talk about resolutions at the beginning of the year. How many of us have kept those resolutions? Well, you don't need January 1 to start. You can start now. It's interesting. I started working out soon after January 1, and what I realized was I went into it thinking, okay, I'm just going to get this done. I'm just going to get this done. I'm just going to get this done. And soon, having done it for so many weeks, it's no longer I just want to get this done. It's now, I gotta get this done. This is important to me. This is making an impact on my life. I also see it as an influence over my kids. I can't just tell them what to do. I have to live it too. I have to embrace it. I have to be it. I have to show them that the commitment that I make to my own goals and my own life didn't end because I had kids. It's in fact rejuvenated, reignited, resparked because I have to show by doing. I can't just talk about. I too have to lay it all on the line. I have big goals, I have big aspirations. They can seem sometimes unattainable or unapproachable, but they're not. Taken into bite-sized nuggets, taken into the framework of every single moment has the opportunity to change our lives, can make a supreme difference in the way we look at things. So when you go to class tomorrow, when you go to work tomorrow, instead of thinking, oh God, it's Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Tuesday? Wednesday? Well, how many more days do I have until the weekend? How many more days till I can think about Sunday night and think, oh my God, I gotta go back to work again? No. Look at it differently. What more can you get out of that moment? What can you get out of your week? What can you do that week that's different from the weeks before? How can you make the most of today? How can you make the most of your moment? Thank you.